Hey, it is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo, and the show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live, and today we're talking about six figures in 1 year. Some people will tell you it's not possible. Some people will tell you to set your expectations lower. Some people will say, yeah, you could do it, but if you don't, it's no big deal. We're going to be talking about demystifying and decodifying and making sense of how you can make six figures in 1 year, especially right now. The real estate market is ripe for the picking, so we've got an exciting show for you today. Stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, it is time for Ask the Instructor. 12 noon every Wednesday. We come to you to understand the technical side of the real estate industry, and some of you might call the amount of money it is that you earn a technical aspect, a technicality. But what we're focused on today is how to make $100,000 in 1 year. Whether this is your first year in real estate, whether you're just getting your license and you're looking to launch a successful real estate career, or maybe you've had your real estate license. Don't worry if this isn't your first year and you haven't made $100,000 yet. Or hey, look, if you're trying to make it to $1 million or $250,000 even in a year, the same concepts that we're going to be breaking down today will help make that all possible. Now, chances are, if you're already making over $100,000, you're going to understand the stuff it is that we're talking about today. But the first thing, like I said, if you go to somebody and you tell them, oh, I'm getting my real estate license, I'm going to be a real estate agent, I'm going to go make $100,000 in my first year, they might do a couple different reactions. They might laugh at you. They might say, oh, that's not possible. They might say, oh, you can't do that. They might say, oh, don't you know how much competition there is? They might say, oh, what if something happens with the real estate market? They might come up with all of these excuses because they think it's not possible. And they might feel like they're attacking you. Those attacks feel personal when you share your goals with somebody. But look, it's not that they're trying to attack you, it's just that they cannot comprehend how that is possible. You might be struggling and trying to grasp at how is this possible? How is it possible to earn $100,000 in 1 year, let alone your first year in real estate? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the journey to 100K in gross commission in 1 year. And when I say gross commission, what we're going to be talking about with gross commission is money that you have actually coming into you after any split it is that you have with your real estate broker. We're going to be doing the math. I'm going to show you how to do the math. Maybe $100,000 doesn't get you excited. Maybe you're already making like $90,000, $95,000 a year, and you're like, oh, $100,000, big deal. It's an extra $5,000, an extra $10,000. Replace this number with whatever number it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, I like to pick this as a good number because a lot of people think it's impossible to break that glass ceiling of six figures in their first year. A lot of people are worrying about how am I going to close one deal, let alone $100,000 worth of deals. Not $100,000 worth of property, but $100,000 worth of commission money. How are you going to do that in 1 year? So what we have to do first and foremost is break down the volume it is that we need to sell. That's your first step, because everything is that we're talking about today is understanding how this is possible. Because you have to understand this is possible. It's great, it's fine, it's good if you say you're going to make $100,000 in 1 year, but if you have no idea how to do that, what you need to do, what actions it is you need to take, you're going to have a hard time getting any deals closed, let alone $100,000 worth of commission. So what we have to do first and foremost is understand what volume we need to sell. So this is our commission we want to have come in, $100,000. Now, in order to find the volume it is that we need, how many homes it is, the dollar amount of homes we have to actually sell and close on. And this isn't a perfect formula, but what you have to do is take the commission that you would typically earn in a transaction. This is why this isn't perfect, because sometimes you might have a lower commission, sometimes you might have a little bit higher commission. It depends on the particular transaction. But let's just pick a number that we would say, and again, you have to apply this in your business. And if you're watching wherever that may be, look at the commissions it is in your marketing. I'm limited on what I could tell you about commission because of price fixing laws and whatnot. But let's just say, for example purposes, 3% is the commission it is that you'd be earning on $100,000. So if you're typically earning a 3% commission, what we want to find out is how much home sales at 3% will give us $100,000. And normally what we do, normally the formula for calculating commission is taking the sale price and multiplying that by the commission percentage. So sale price multiplied by the commission in a percentage gives us our commission in a dollar amount. So that would tell us what it is. We're trying to work this backwards now. We're trying to find this $100,000 or whatever your particular goal is. So what we're going to do basically is flip the direction around. We're going from dollar amount of commission. We've already established that goal of $100,000, and now we're trying to work this backwards. Okay, at the 3% commission, what sale price does that yield to us? And when we're working in reverse like this, what you have to remember is to flip it and reverse it. To flip it and reverse it. We're working in reverse, and instead of multiplying, we're flipping our sign, we're going to divide. So what you're doing is taking the dollar amount of commission, dividing it by your commission percentage, and that's going to give you the total volume it is that you need. So when we take this $100,000 and we divide that by 3%, so $100,000 divided by 0.03, if we're going to put that in our calculator, 3%, and we end up with $3,333,333. And 33 cents if we want to really get technical with this here. And that's our volume we need across 1 year. Meaning what the dollar amount of homes we have to actually sell. We have to sell a little over $3 million worth of properties at a 3% commission. Let's just fact check this here. This is how you double check your math. We could test this going forward, taking the $3,333,000 times 0.03, and we get our $100,000. Okay, everything checks out. But you might be seeing this $3,333,333, and you might be thinking, especially if you're brand new, man, I've got to sell one house. That maybe takes care of the $300,000 here, but now what about the other $3 million? And you've got to think of this. Whenever you have some sort of larger goal in mind, whenever you have a larger goal, you need to break this down into your smaller goals. So you're not planning on just closing a property in a year and then seeing how it is that you're doing a year later. No, you're going to be looking at your progress every day, every week, or let's just break it down right now into months. Let's go into that next lowest level. We can even break this down into quarters as well. If we break this down into months, 12 months in a year, $3,333,033, we divide that out by 12 months, and now we've got $277,000 a month. So if we sell one $277,000 home a month at 3% commission, you will have $100,000 in gross commission income. Now, all of a sudden, this doesn't seem that bad. You look at these numbers, wow, $100,000 of income, that's a lot of money. How is that possible? Wow, over $3 million in home sales? How does anyone ever do that? Does anyone even achieve that over their career? Look, you've got to break down the numbers into realistics here. And if the average sale price of a home is $277,000 that you're dealing with here, you've just got to sell one home a month. Round it up a little bit. Sell one $300,000 home a month, and you'll be more than covered on that $100,000 commission with a 3% commission you're charging. Now all of a sudden this seems a lot more attainable. If I were to ask you, do you think you could sell one home a month? You'd probably say yes. If I were to ask you, could you get $100,000 in commission a year? You might say, oh, I don't know, that's a lot of money. If I were to ask you, can you sell $3,333,333.33 of homes in 1 year? You say, wow, $3 million of home? No, I'll just sell $1 million of home. Let's do the math on $1 million and see what it is. If you set your goal at just selling $1 million of homes, that might sound like a lot. You could say you're a $1 million producer, that you've sold over $1 million in inventory. You start thinking about that though. If a house is $277,000, that's not a whole lot. That's 3 or 4 houses that you sold if you've sold $1 million of properties. So if we take $1 million of properties, so 1 million times 3% commission, now all of a sudden you're only earning $30,000. So you might think that you're setting your goal at the right place, thinking, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell $1 million worth of homes. Are you okay with having an income goal of only $30,000? No, so it's about framing your expectations. Because this is absolutely attainable to get the $100,000 in commission, and this seems out of reach. Maybe selling $1 million a home. That's I've talked to a lot of new agents, and they're usually just worried about selling one home. But look, you've got to think of the big picture, and then you're breaking it down into what it is that you need to be doing every day. We just set the goal here: one $277,000 home a month. We sell one $277 home a month, we'll end up with that $100,000 in gross commission income. It's that easy. Maybe you've got higher priced homes in your market. Maybe you're targeting a neighborhood of homes over $500,000. Maybe if that's the case, and we're selling $600,000 homes, and it doesn't even have to be $600,000, a little bit under that, but let's say $600,000. Then it's just one home every 2 months. $600,000 homes. This is completely possible. It's completely doable, but the first step that so many people do not take is understand these numbers, because knowing the numbers, this is knowing the formula. Everyone worries about the formulas you need to know to pass your exam, or the formulas you do to calculate your commission. They don't do the formulas for business planning and goal setting, and this is so essential to your success in real estate. But we're not done here. We talked about what homes it is we have to sell, how many homes it is we have to sell, what the value of those homes are, but now we have to start doing some figures on, okay, this is doable, this is feasible, this is something I can actually do. It's starting to become more real, but it's not real enough yet. We need to get down and drill down to the details, the number of appointments you need to be making, the number of calls it is that you need to be making, the number of people it is that you need to be visiting to really make this $100,000 gross commission income real. Don't tune out yet, because we've got a lot of details. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're going to be going deeper and diving down to the things it is that you need to know. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm John Kursmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Kursmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Kursmo, and every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we talk to you about the technical side of the real estate industry. including the technicalities that so many people overlook. We started off this episode and we were talking about, okay, making $100,000 in 1 year. The value with real estate, with selling property, as being a real estate agent, is the value. The product it is that you're selling is not a cheap product. This isn't like you're going online, you're trying to sell something for like $10, or you're reselling stuff on Amazon making a few bucks. Yeah, you could have lots of high quantities with something like this, but it doesn't take much. One transaction, this one $277,000 home for gross commission income. If we take this $277,000 and we multiply this out now by that 3%, so $277,000 times 3% ends up giving us $8,310. And that's off of one transaction. One transaction, and you're almost 10% of the way there. We just figured that you've got to do 12 of these to get to that $100,000 goal. If we're selling one of these homes at a 3% commission every month, and look, if you want to give yourself a little bit of a buffer zone, shoot for a little bit higher. Target a market where the average home is $300,000 or more. And then when you're marketing in that neighborhood, or you're door knocking in that neighborhood, and you're cold calling that neighborhood, and you're trying to pull business out of that neighborhood, you know that if you get a deal in there, it's going to be putting you towards your income goals. And now what you need to be focusing on, because this is really the first step here, is start by taking this and understanding what is possible, making this real in your mind and setting the expectation. Again, you've got to know the numbers. If I were told you, do you think you could sell $1 million in homes? You might say, oh wow, $1 million in homes, that's a lot of homes. No, it's not. It's just over 3 of these homes, maybe 4 of those homes. Very easily done within a year if you're putting the right actions behind it. So let's say that we've established the goal that, and these are metrics it is that you want to review every single day, because if you start to fall back on these metrics, if you start to get lazy or forget about what these numbers are, that's where you're going to stumble. You're going to end up not hitting the goal it is. So first and foremost, we've got the price of the homes. $300,000, let's say. Rounding doesn't hurt. There's a school of thought that says, oh, have an exact number. But look, it does. You're not going to sell the home for $300,000. You might sell it for $295 or $299 or $289 or $305 or $309. Maybe $300,000 right on the nose. But look, that's just our target. That we're throwing darts at a dartboard, and that's our bullseye. Maybe we're getting a little bit higher than that too. Maybe a dartboard isn't the best example of that, but you get the idea. We're not going to hit this exactly, so it's not essential that you have an exact number that, oh, I need to sell a home that's $277,653.98. We could just call that $300,000, and you're okay. And worst case scenario, you've got a little bit of a buffer built in there. So that's our price. Then we've got to set our commission, our goal for commission percentage. And again, I want to be careful that I don't violate any antitrust laws or anything like that. For this example, we're going to be using a 3% commission. Whether that's the 3% that you see out there in the field, or maybe you see something higher than that, maybe you see something lower than that, or whatever it is that's going on in your market that we're not supposed to have any knowing about because it's all a negotiated amount. But whatever that number is that you're striving for is your business. Now look, it's okay for you. I just can't get up here on this stage and say, hey, charge this % commission. This is the commission it is that you should charge. But look, you could have your commission it is that you charge. You could have your rate it is, your rate that you charge to clients because that's what you're worth. And you negotiate that with the clients. And negotiation doesn't mean you give in. Negotiation means you convince them to pay you what it is that you're worth. So you're free to charge whatever commission it is that you want, blah, 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 blah. Look up antitrust laws if you're concerned with any of this stuff. Just don't conspire with other people about what the commission is. So let's say, again, for example purposes, that we've got a 3% commission it is that we're shooting for. So what we know, and this is how this factors into these numbers it is, if we do take on a listing where we're going to earn less than a 3% commission, that's where we know, okay, this is going to have us fall short on our goals, so now we're going to need to sell more homes. Now we might need to charge a higher commission on a different transaction in order to balance this out. But if you don't have these clearly established goals, these clearly established targets of what it is that you need to try to do, you'll know, okay, when you're above this, okay, good, that's some extra money that's going to be a buffer. And then when you hit below this, maybe you take on a listing that's $250,000 is what it sells for. That's shorting us 50 grand, so we know we're going to have to now take on an additional $50,000 in volume, whether that's maybe just selling another $250,000 house, or maybe we're taking on a $350,000 house. You've got to know your targets, and this isn't something you just set once and never look at again. This is something that you're going to set on day one, and you're going to review it on day two, and review it again on day three, and on day 197, you might need to make some adjustments to this, because if you're halfway through the year, if you're 6 months into this year, and you're falling short, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to have that $100,000 in gross commission at the end of the year. That means that, hey, you've got to tweak things. You got to turn up the heat a little bit. Now it's not $300,000 homes that you need. It's $350,000 homes. Or maybe you understand that your business, there's not as many $300,000 homes, and you're taking on more $250,000 homes. Hey, look, that's okay. But now you got to maybe squeeze an extra home sale in the year in order to still hit that goal. So you've got to know these targets. Knowing these targets is essential. So we've got these two targets lined up. So we know, okay, price we got to sell of homes, the percent of commission. So we'll say also our number of homes here, number of sales, and again, that's 12 or 1 per month. You want to, again, know these numbers inside out. Look, this shouldn't take you more than an hour, not more than 20 minutes to figure out these numbers here. And we're spending an hour here really breaking this down. If you've been watching this episode, maybe you need to rewatch that. Check it out, our Success Center. The link is below. It's tampaschool.com/success. You could rewatch this after the fact, so you could run these numbers in your business and know what it is that you need to do to achieve the goals it is that you've set. So we've got 12 sales figured out here, 1 month. Look, again, this isn't that difficult. It's absolutely possible, and there's a lot of agents that are selling 1 home a week. A lot of agents even selling 1 home a day, or maybe every other day. So this is absolutely possible. We're not talking about something that's far-fetched here. If we're talking about $1 million in a year, that's a little bit more of a stretch, but $100,000 a year, completely doable. There's no reason why there shouldn't be every agent who's dedicated and working in real estate full-time that they shouldn't be able to have $100,000 in gross commission income, because you should be able to sell 1 home a month. If you're not closing 1 home a month, you need to step your game up. You need to do more of these activities that we're about to talk about. So now, what does it take to get a $100,000 home? It's not just 1 lead, it's not just 1 client, it's not just 1 contract, it's not just 1 closing. Now you might say, well, John, what doesn't it only take 1? Only 1 home, and I only need 1 client to get that 1 home, and I only need 1 contract to get that 1 home sold, and I only need 1 closing to get that 1 home sold. Look, you're absolutely right, but that's like going to the casino and saying, all I need is 1 pull on the slot machine and I'm going to win the $1 million jackpot. All I need is 1 hand in blackjack and I'm going to beat the dealer. All I need is 1-handed poker and I'm going to win the poker World Series or whatever that may be. All I need is 1 lottery ticket and I'm going to win the lottery. You could. There's some of those things like the blackjack and the poker. I'm not a big gambler, so you won't win a whole lot with that there. But with like that lottery ticket example, you could win the $350 million jackpot with 1 ticket. But then you see these people that, there's been TV episodes about it and news stories about people that buy hundreds or thousands of these tickets because they know it's a numbers game. Yeah, you do only need 1 ticket. The question is, which ticket? That's the way you've got to look at the clients. Not every single client is going to buy or buy right now. And it's not their fault when they're not buying that month. It's your fault for counting on them to be your 1 closing for that 1 month. If they don't buy that property within that 1 month, and look, we've got a longer sale process of going on. So for even just approving for the mortgage, that might take 60 days to get them qualified and okay for the mortgage. So you've got to have this stuff in your pipeline. You've got to have a full pipeline. Let's start off by just looking at the closings, because as much as you'd want every single deal to close, you're going to have some deals that fall through. And it does take a lot of effort to try to keep these deals together. So there's going to be some that just don't work out. You get it under contract, but it doesn't end up closing. Maybe they're okay with losing their earnest money deposit, whatever the case may be, but there will be some deals that don't close. So we've got 12 sales that we're working out here that we need to figure. And this is where you want to track your business. Now, when you're first starting out, you just want to use some basic numbers here. We'll throw out some basic numbers that we're going to use here. I'll explain what it is that they are, and then you can make a decision as to maybe you need to make this percentage higher or make this percentage lower based on maybe your personality, based on your skills, and based on how experienced it is that you are. But once you actually have sales, once you've closed a sale, you need to look at your business and see how many contacts it took you to get that sale, how many leads, how many appointments, how many of everything. You need to be looking at all these details and keeping track of that, because that's what makes your business predictable. Then you know, okay, I need to have this much input and I get this much output. So we've got 12 sales that we're trying to get in 1 year. Now let's say that our closing percentage. So you've got to know what your closing percentage is. And closing percentage means your number of real estate transactions that actually close. Because not every contract will close. Now they could, but let's say 70%. Our closing percentage, we're going to set this at 70%. So if we say 70% of our deals are going to close, well, if it's not 100%, we're going to need more deals under contracts. So we're trying to get to 12 sales, 12 closings. Switch to a different color here so you guys can see this. So 12 sales, 12 closings, but only 70% of our deals close. That means the percentage of contracts that we need is not going to be, or the number of contracts we need is not going to be 12. Because if only 70% of these contracts are going to turn into closings, that means we're going to need more than 12. And again, the way we figure this out, we're working this backwards. We're not going to be multiplying, we're dividing. We're taking that number 12 closings, and we're going to divide that now by 70%, 0.7. And that tells us that we need, with a 70% closing ratio, maybe your closing ratio is higher than that. It depends. Me, for example, I try to close every single deal, every single contract, but I've had contracts that haven't closed before. And so you've got to look at your business. 70% is a good conservative number to pick when you're starting out, but then monitor your business. Keep track, keep tabs on when you're closing more deals and when you're closing less deals. And keep track of what that percentage is. You're just going to take your number of contracts, divide it by our number of closings, and divide that by your number of contracts. That will give you this number here. Your number of closings divided by the number of contracts. If you've got 12 closings and you had 12 contracts, 12 closings divided by 12 contracts, you get 100%. That means you're closing 100% of your deals. But if we've got, so we're going to go off this number 17 here. We're just going to round this down to 17. So if we've got 17 contracts but 12 closings, if that's what your business is right now, you're going to take that 12 closings divided by 17 contracts. Or maybe you don't have 12 closings yet. Maybe you just had the one closing. Count up how many it is that you had, and to figure out what that closing percentage is. Maybe you had 5 contracts and you had one closing. That would be a really low ratio, because then you're only looking about 20% of this year. But if you just had one contract and that one contract closed, you're at 100%. Set it at 100%. Maybe set it at 90% if you want to be a little bit conservative with this here, but you're at 100% closing ratio here. And a lot of times, most contracts will close. But again, pay attention to your business, because everyone's business is different. And so we're looking at 17 contracts here. Now all of a sudden it's starting to get a little bit more real. Okay, now I've got to get 17 contracts. If I get 17 contracts with a 70% closing ratio, that's going to end up giving us 12 sales. And now let's see how we could maybe make these numbers unique to our business. Let's say, okay, well, no, I don't have a 70% closing ratio. Let's say 90% of my deals close, meaning 9 out of 10 deals close. Now, what's the number of contracts? And now understanding this will show you how the better it is and more skilled it is that you get at making sure contracts close, the easier your job is going to be, because now we don't have to get 17 properties under contract or 17 transactions under contract. We would just take that 12, again, divide it, but now divide it by 90%, and we just need about 13 contracts. So that means about one of our deals is going to fall through. A little bit more than one deal because it's 13.3, but until we'll drop off the decimals here. But about if you've got a 90% closing ratio, yeah, that's 9 out of 10 or about 12 out of 13, 12 out of 13.33. So we'll have about one deal that falls through, which that's maybe expected. Maybe if 2 deals fall through across the year, then maybe you're looking at like an 85% or something like that. Let's do the math and figure out what that ratio is. Let's say, okay, this year you had 12 sales, and that was out of 14 contracts, meaning you had 2 contracts fall through. What's our closing percentage here? So all we're going to do now is take the 12, divide that by 14, and we end up with 85%. So that would make our closing ratio 85%. So you can see how you can make this unique to your business based on your skills, based on the type of clients it is that you're dealing with, the income levels, the type of housing it is that they're purchasing, the type of financing it is that you're doing. If you're specializing in a certain type of deal, a certain value, a certain price range, your numbers are going to be very specific and they'll get more predictable. If you're taking really any business that comes to you, that's where it gets a little bit harder to predict, but it still is somewhat predictable with this here. But again, you want to look at your business and try to figure out what this is. Let's stick with this number, the 85% closing ratio with 14 contracts out of the 12 sales, and we're going to keep going further because now we need to talk about what it takes to get to a contract and understanding that number as well. So stick with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I'm John Christmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Christmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. And what we're doing today is demystifying, decoding what it takes, making it real to get $100,000 in commission in 1 year. And these numbers it is that we're working through here are numbers it is that you need to eat, sleep, and breathe. Every morning after you wake up, you look at your numbers. Every night before you go to bed, you look at your numbers. Midday, when you're wondering what it is that you're doing with your life, or maybe you're inclined to maybe hop on Facebook and see what's going on with your friends there. Look at your numbers and say, okay, I'm shooting for that $100,000 goal. If I want to be able to achieve this $100,000 goal, I've got to stay on task. This gives you your roadmap. Think of this that you're traveling on the road and you're trying to go to somewhere it is that you don't know. Look, if you knew how to get there, it'd be very easy, and you could, stop to kind of look around and see things. But when this is your first time on that road to $100,000 in a real estate, and look, if you've made $100,000 before somewhere else, even if it is in sales, it's a different game with real estate. It's absolutely possible, and if you've done this before, it'll be even easier for you in real estate, but there's things specific with real estate it is that you know. But I'm sure if you've made that much money, especially in sales before in another industry, you know that you need to have a plan. You need to have a map that guides you which way it is to go. These numbers are your map, and you need to consult that map. You need to know every detail of that map, and when you get off course, you've got to course correct. That's where you're refiguring these numbers here. So again, maybe we started out with the 90%, but then we start doing some math. Oh no, we're actually at 85%, and recalculate this and recrunch this to understand what it is that you need to be doing. So far we're down to 14 contracts. We know that get the 12 closings with an 85% closing percentage, that means that we need 14 contracts. We need 14 offers accepted and under contract and deals heading towards closing. And what we're doing here is we're budgeting in for 2 deals falling through out of the 14 it is that we had the whole year, so we would result in 12 sales actually closing. If your business is any different than that, or if it changes over time, maybe the market makes a little bit of shift, if you're checking these numbers every day and you've got your finger on the pulse, if you're monitoring the blood pressure, if you're listening to the heart rate of your business, it's easy to catch when you start to get off course. That's the first thing doctors do when they're diagnosing somebody. You go to your general doctor, before they even say anything to you, they might say, "Oh, how are you doing here? Okay, let me listen to your heart. Okay, let me knock on your thing, see if you're on your knee, see if your reflexes work. Let me check your blood pressure here. Maybe they'll go run some extra blood work for cholesterol." They're finding these numbers and these metrics to tell them what's going on and what they need to do to fix this. If you're getting off track in your business, these numbers will help get you back on track. So knowing these numbers is so essential and so crucial. If you don't know these numbers, you might sell a couple deals, but you're going to very easily get sidetracked. You're going to be very easily led astray, whether that's by salespeople from advertising agencies or whatever that may be. Look, when I get calls from ad agencies, because they call me nonstop, I'm on the do not call list and everything, doesn't matter. You're going to get calls from Zillow, from Trulia, from every of these people. "Oh, I'll get you on the first page of Google." Well, guess what? I'm already on the first page of Google. I've got my own plan. So when they're calling me trying to make me part of their plan, I can say, "Oh no, don't worry, don't need any more advertising, got plenty of it, got plenty of deals." "Oh, don't you want more deals?" "No, I've got more deals than I know what to do with here. I'll call you up if I need more. Thank you, goodbye." And when you're running your business and not letting your business run you, this is how it works. So knowing these numbers, you've got to know what it is. You want to be the captain of the ship, you've got to know how to operate the ship. You got to know which way to steer it, how fast to go, where to adjust the rudders, the throttle, and all the other stuff you need to do when you're driving a ship. You've got to know this stuff. This is what's going to tell you what your income is going to be. So we figured out 14 contracts. Now we've got to figure out, okay, what comes before a contract? Well, before we have a contract, we've got to have some sort of appointment, whether this is a listing appointment or whether this is an appointment showing a buyer home. So we have to have so many appointments. And depending on how well it is that you're qualifying your buyers or sellers in advance is going to kind of dictate how many of these appointments actually end up resulting in a contract. And especially on the buyer side, you're going to be looking at more appointments than you would on a seller side. So it would benefit you probably to split this up on 2 sides. Maybe you're trying to target, let's just say that we're only targeting sellers, and these numbers are all based on sellers. And these numbers would be really good for sellers that would say, okay, we take 14 listings, we get 12 sold. If you're not good at pricing the property, this number is probably going to be higher. You're probably going to maybe have 20 contracts with only 12 sales. But when you're really skilled at presenting the price it is that they should offer it with and getting price reductions when the property isn't under contract and finding motivated sellers, that's where this might drop down lower than this. But again, you've got to know your business. You've got to know your skills. You've got to know the clients it is you're working with and keep track of that, and it'll give you an idea of what these numbers are. But let's go through this seller cycle here, and let's say for appointments. So what we need to do is basically how many of our appointments are going to turn into a contract, mainly our contract percentage. And that's going to tell us the number of appointments it is that we need. So again, tracking your business. Let's say that let's go this based off of tracking our current business, our current sales. Let's say that we've got 1 contract out of 2 appointments. Let's say, and this is how you could track this stuff even when you're brand new. Now your numbers are going to be low when you're brand new. Let's say you went on 2 appointments, you got 1 contract. 1 divided by 2 is 50%. That means getting 50% of your appointments turned into contracts. Maybe it takes you 3 appointments to get that one contract. Then you're at a 33%. But let's say that you know what you're doing. You're pretty good at presenting this. You've got perseverance. And let's say that, so here's how we calculate out these numbers again. We take our number of contracts and say, okay, we've got 1 contract. And let's pick it out of the 3. We'll say out of 3. We'll say, okay, and this is, again, maybe something where we're being a little bit more conservative here. So 1 out of 3, that means 33%. 1 divided by 3 in your calculator gives you 0.33, and then we turn that into 33%. So 33% of our appointments are going to turn into contracts. So now, how many appointments is it that we need? So we're going to now reverse engineer this, take this 14 contracts, and divide that by 33%. That means we need 42 appointments. And you might be saying, wow, 42 appointments. Okay, yeah, now we're talking. Okay, now I see if I did, yeah, obviously if I do 42 appointments, I'm going to end up with a higher amount of income. But look, again, we're not talking about much. How many weeks are in a year? There's 52 weeks in a year. So if you do 1 appointment a week, you could take 10 weeks off and still be able to hit this goal if all you need is 42 appointments. So the yearly numbers are likely to stress you out, but then you break that down into the monthly, into the weekly, into the daily, and now it all starts to make more sense. If I were to ask you, do you think you could go on 1 appointment a week? I hope you're going on at least 1 appointment a week. You should be going on at least 1 appointment a day in your business. And that's how you make this all possible. But again, it starts out with knowing these numbers. And even when we're doing it based off of this kind of fictitious scenario, especially when you're first getting your real estate license, you might not know how many appointments it's going to take. And that's why I'm giving you these numbers here so you can kind of get an understanding of how to come up with these here. There's actually even a great business plan calculator on our Success Center that lets you punch in these numbers. And it gives you all the calculations and explanations and things like that. At the end of the show, I'll go ahead and put the link in the comments for you, so that way you guys are going to be able to find that business plan calculator and use that to do this math for you. But you've got to understand what it is that we're doing here so you understand your business and you understand that pulse of your business. So we talked about what it takes for the number of appointments. We're going on basically, and let's say we're just taking 10 weeks off to keep it simple. Let's say we're going on 1 appointment a week. Let's do the math, and we're looking now back on our first year, and maybe you didn't hit $100,000. Look, it's okay. You'll get it next year. You know, it's okay to be a little upset. That's good. That's going to help you push forward for next year. But stay on focus. And let's say that you got 14 contracts out of this year, and you had 52 appointments. We'll say we're going on 1 appointment every single week. We were going on 1 appointment every single week. That got us 14 contracts. Now the question is, what is that contract percentage? And you might say, well, what do I need to know the percentage for? I just need to know that all I need to do is 1 appointment a week. I'll get 14 contracts, and I'll get the same amount of income it is that I had this year. If it was $100,000, yeah, that's fine if you want to stay at $100,000. But if you have any plans on growth, look, when you're implementing these tactics, look, don't just stay at the $100,000. It's where you become complacent. Let's go for $250,000. Let's go for $500,000. Let's go for $1 million. Let's start off with $100,000. Get $100,000 in a year. This is completely doable, completely possible. Work these numbers. Start working with some clients. Work these numbers. Get to know what it is that you need to do. And now that's the easy part. If I don't have, and this even gets down to the specific daily stuff that you're doing, and we're going to talk about that in the next couple minutes here. But if I don't have a list of things to do, I'm lost. If I'm not reviewing my numbers, if I'm not looking at my list of what particulars it is that I have to do, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't know what I have to do, so I guess I don't have to do anything. That's dangerous. Not only when you're experienced, but especially when you're new, because you're looking for something to do, but you don't know what to do, and so you're just going to fall into whoever's pulling you in their certain direction. So you got to know your goal. So let's say we're going again on 1 appointment a week, 52 appointments out of 14 contracts. So 14 contracts divided by 52. That means we've got we'll say 27%. We're going to round that up to 27% contract percentage. So if you go on 1 appointment a week, and you're only getting about one contract a month, a little bit more than one a month, you're going to be on track to hit these goals here. About one maybe every 3.7 weeks or something like that. But again, you work these numbers and you start to understand your business. And you want to constantly update this. At least monthly, go through and tabulate your performance for that month. Spend an hour at the beginning of the month reviewing your results and what it is that you did and your activities over the previous month and say, okay, this is where I've got to make some adjustments. This is how you manage yourself. Everyone loves real estate because you get to be your own boss, but you have to be your own boss, meaning you have to manage yourself, meaning when you're not producing the numbers, you got to have a talk with yourself and say, all right, John, let's get it together. Let's get it together this month because we want to get that $100,000 income goal. And it's kind of easy to be your own boss here because you're aligned with the goals of the boss, yourself. So that's our number of appointments. But are we done yet? Not really, because we don't just wake up in the morning and there's an appointment waiting for us. We've got to set these appointments. So we've got to set these appointments. And look, we're not asking for much here. With this scenario here, we're just looking for one appointment a week. One appointment a week. And now this is going to depend on your source of leads that you're getting for these appointments, especially if we're focusing just on the listing side, just on the selling side, just on that marketing the property side that we're going through here. We got to look at, okay, what are we doing? Because that's going to change basically our closing ratio for the leads of how many leads are going to turn into a appointment, which turn into a contract, which turn into a closing. So let's say that what we're doing, maybe we've got a lot of different ways you could set this up. Maybe, and you're relying on hopefully multiple channels. You don't want to rely on just one channel to get yourself leads. Maybe you've got a website set up with one of those lead valuation tools. That's fantastic, but especially if this is a new website, don't rely on that for results. Even if you're throwing thousands of dollars out at a month for advertising, don't rely on those results. It's good to have a constant stream of leads coming in with something like that. But when something changes, maybe Google changes the way they're advertising or Facebook changes the way that they're advertising, if you're relying on that as your sole source of leads, that could be dangerous. So don't rely on just that source of leads. But let's say across all of this altogether, across all of our leads that we're looking at, we're ending up with, so we want our appointment percentage, and we want the number of leads it is that we need to generate. The number of leads it is that we need to generate. And let's say that out of these 52 appointments, let's say that we ended up with, let's say we did that off of, we'll say 150 leads. We'll say we got 150 leads. And again, keep track of your business, even if you're just starting out. You can look at, okay, I got a lead. Did I get that as an appointment? No. So we're 0 for 1. Okay, I've got another lead. Did I get an appointment? No. Okay, we're 0 for 2. I got another lead. Did I get an appointment? No, we're 0 for 3. I got a lead. Oh, finally, I got an appointment. So one appointment out of 4 leads, that tells you your appointment percentage is 25%. So track your business. Even with as few as one lead, you've got now numbers to tell yourself. Now with that one lead, whenever these are at 0%, and that might happen when you're brand new, maybe you get one lead and you blow it, you mess something up, you say the wrong thing, whatever that may be, they don't want to do business with you. You're not done for. Just go get another lead. You're at 0%, but change your approach. Whenever these numbers start to go low, and that's another reason why it's important to understand these numbers, is when you start to see, especially here, that your lead to appointment percentage is going down, you might ask yourself, well, what am I saying? What is it that I'm doing that's causing me to get less appointments? And that's also how you're able to kind of course correct yourself and manage yourself and be your boss. So pay attention to what it is that these numbers are actually coming out to. And you want to check this at least once a month, if not every week, if not every day. Especially when you're doing a day of calling people or you're doing a day of something like that. So keep track of what that daily rate is. Maybe you say something a little different that one day and all of a sudden that skyrockets the number of appointments you get. Whoa, let's take note of what it is that you say so you're able to do that again in the future. Because if you don't take note of when it is that you're doing good, you don't know what's good and what's bad and what are the good things and what are the bad things. And it makes it impossible to understand how to grow your business if you're not keeping track of your progress. So let's say, again, we look at our numbers in our business and we had 52 appointments and that took us 150 leads to get those 52 appointments. Again, we're just dividing 52, our number of appointments, divided that by 150 leads, and we end up with about 35%, 34.667. We'll say this is 35%. So 35% of our leads are turning into appointment, 27% of our appointments are turning into contracts, 85% of our contracts are turning into closing. We get 12 closed deals. If those are all $300,000 at 3%, we're actually going to end up above $100,000 because remember that number we needed for the number of sales with 12 sales was $277,000. So you'll be surpassing the $100,000. But it's good to have that buffer in there just in case maybe there's a lower percentage where you still want this deal and they're grinding tooth and nail and they won't budge and they're only willing to pay a 2.5% commission or whatever commission it is that you've negotiated with them. That's where you want that buffer. Or maybe the listing ends up, you took it for $300,000 but it ends up selling for $250,000. That's where you want that buffer. So again, this is the targets that we're throwing at here. But it's not always going to be exactly $300,000, which is why you need to constantly update these numbers. It might be good to maybe set up a spreadsheet or something like that. Don't spend all day doing something like this. If you don't know what a spreadsheet is or how to work a spreadsheet, don't go learn about a spreadsheet. That's not important for your business. How to get leads is important for your business. How to turn leads into appointments is important for your business. How to turn appointments into contracts is important for your business. How to make sure that contract closes is important to your business. The rest are just minor details that'll fall into place as you go along. But knowing these numbers, this is your roadmap to your success. Without a roadmap like this, or whatever it is that your numbers end up being, but without having something it is that you could look at and adjust, you're just kind of wandering through your career. You're just wandering through, hoping you pick up a deal here, hoping that somebody's going to come up to you and say, hey, I want to buy a house. You say, oh, good, that's what I got my real estate license for me to walk around until somebody comes and finds me that wants to buy the house. No. You need to go out there, you need to find the business, you need to bring the business to you. Now, once you're established and once you've brought a lot of business to you, and you've turned these people not into just clients but into raving fans of yours, then they're going to be sending people to you. But you still need to be seeking people out. You need to be still bringing in new business, bringing in new clients. And if it gets to the point where you can't handle this much work, bring out an assistant. Start a real estate team. Team up with another agent who's equally ambitious as you. And grow your business. Now, we said we needed 150 leads, and with 35%, that gives us 52 appointments, 1 appointment a week. So now, looking at this here, 365 days, 150 times 2, we need roughly 1 lead every other day. Meaning we're getting 1 lead every other day. Now, if these are the numbers in your business and you're sure that these are the numbers here, that's where you could maybe establish some sort of advertising system online that's producing 1 lead every other day. And if these metrics fall into place with that, and these are now, why these might be falling off, you might say, well, what if I'm really good at closing stuff, John? What if out of these 150 leads, I get all 150? You've got to factor in for these unknown factors. Not every lead is going to be qualified. Not every lead is going to be willing to sell. Who knows, whatever the case may be. But there's going to be some of these leads that drop off. Now, let's say you're choosing a little bit more aggressive way. Maybe you're not looking to go straight into marketing your business right away. Maybe you don't want to spend money right away on marketing. I've said this countless times in here, and one of the great ways you can go attract business without going to spend money on marketing is going door knocking, doing cold calling. These are all things that, people are like, oh, no, I'd just rather spend money and get business sent to me just for the cost of it. I'll pay for that. Look, figure out what it is that you're doing. Practice on these people it is that you worked hard to get. And when it is that you're actually spending time trying to find these clients through door knocking. And what this means is, so let's break this down to the weekly number here. We're almost out of time, so I want to break this down to the weekly number. We'll take this 150, we're going to divide this by 52, and that's going to tell us how many leads it is that we need a week. It's roughly going to be about 3. So 150 divided by 52, we need about 2.8 leads a week. So if we need 3 leads a week to make this all possible, if I were to tell you You get 3 leads a week, and you'll have $100,000 at the end of the year, you probably would have said, John, no, that doesn't make any sense. But after watching this for the past hour and breaking down these numbers and seeing what it is that you have to do, now all of a sudden you're like, aha, yes, this does make sense. This is your instruction manual, basically. I mean, it's not so detailed with what you're doing right there in the moment with the clients, but this is our basic steps. These are the sections of our instruction manual. Step 1, get a lead. Step 2, turn them into an appointment. Step 3, turn them into a contract. Step 4, close the sale. That's the 4 steps. Get a lead, get an appointment, get a contract, close, and get paid. Those 4 steps. If I were to tell you there are 4 steps to make $1 million or to make $100,000, we could easily change up the numbers and turn this into $1 million. But look, let's take $100,000. You might think that's out of reach. You might think it's possible. But you've got to know what makes that possible. 4 steps. Get a lead, turn it into an appointment, turn it into a contract, and close. And yes, of course, I know as well as you do that there's going to be, these steps aren't just, oh, get a lead, okay, got a lead, okay, lead, now I need to meet with you, okay, cool, now let's get a contract, okay, cool, now let's close on the property. There's going to be some little steps, there's going to be some skills it is that you need within these steps, but when we break this down to the overall sales process, number 1, you get a lead, number 2, you get an appointment with that lead, number 3, you make that a contract, number 4, you get closing, you get paid. And what we'd work through right here, this boils down now to 3 leads a week. So however it is that you're finding 3 leads, whether it's you're advertising on your website, whether it's you're knocking on doors, that's the cheap, easy way to do this. Just go out in a neighborhood and go knock on doors and say, hey, my name is John Chrisma. I'm the real estate agent that was just assigned to this area. I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself and just wanted to kind of touch base with you, kind of get to know you guys, how long you've been living here, just asking these questions, warming them up. We've done a whole episode before on door knocking if you're looking at what things it is that you should say in these scenarios here, but go do that until you've got 3 leads. And maybe you might need more leads because, again, we're shooting for 1 appointment a week. With that 1 appointment a week, and again, only figuring that 27% of our appointments actually turn into contracts. These are conservative numbers here. I'm not telling you any sort of snake oil. It's just a matter of doing these things. But you got to know what to do to begin with. So I urge you, I stress you, I implore you to go through and work these numbers. Even if you don't have a license yet, even if you've just been thinking about it, work these numbers and ask yourself, can I do this? Am I willing to find 3 leads a week? Because that's where all of it starts. Because if you could find 3 leads a week, you could find 4, you could find 5, you could find 10 as you scale and grow your business. And that's how all of a sudden you start exploding your business, you start blowing up your business, and you become the next top producing agent. It all starts from somewhere. You've got to take it 1 bite at a time. You've got to know the formula for the success. You've got to know what it is you got to do. You've got to know your numbers. There's a lot to know. There's a lot of things that are going to be set up to maybe be some sort of obstacle or some sort of roadblock, but you've got to stick to the plan. You've got to cross those bridges every now and then. You've got to climb some hills every now and then. But if you stick to this plan, that's where you end up with that income at the end of the year. And whenever it starts to seem difficult, whenever it starts to seem crazy, just say, look, I'm just moving them through these 4 steps. They're already a lead, already made an appointment. Look, when you've already got a lead and you've already turned them into an appointment and you're just now trying to get a contract, you're 50% of the way there done. You're halfway done through this process. You've already done step 1, getting the lead, and step 2, setting the appointment, and now it's just getting a contract, and then the easy part, making sure the deal stays together for the closing. And you're done, and you get paid. It's 4 steps. It's 3 leads a week that we walk through here. This is doable. This is possible. And we want to help you make that possible. If you've got questions on any of this stuff here, I've been having some issues loading up the Facebook comments on here. I know there's a bunch of comments. I do want to give shout outs to some of the ones I am seeing here. Logan, thanks for tuning in. Jessica Martinez, Mark Vansco doing the Berkshire Hathaway University. Congrats, man. Kathy, thank you for tuning in as well. Elaine, always a loyal tuner in there as well. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Thanks for commenting. I'm sorry if I didn't get to see your question. Like I said, Facebook has been a little wonky today, but I'm going to go through these after the live stream. I'm also going to put in that business plan calculator we have on our Success Center to help you with these numbers. But reach out to us if you need any help with anything. We love seeing you guys succeed. I want to see every single one of you out there tuning in making that $100,000 a year. And look, I'm going to be upset if you're just making $100,000 a year. I'm like, okay, cool. You did what I was talking about in the video. Now let's push that a little bit further. Let's get you to $250,000. Let's do $500,000. Let's do $1 million a year. But it all starts somewhere. You've got to start this in little baby steps. You're not going to get your license and go out the next day and have $100,000 magically in your pocket. You've got to work the formula. You've got to work the steps. You got to know your business. And that makes it possible. But like I said, we're here to help you out through that whole process. We're here to help get you with the right broker. We're here to help get you the license. I mean, it might be intimidating going through the course and passing the exam and everything, but knowing these numbers, and whenever it is that you start to feel like, oh, God, what am I even doing here? Am I even good enough for this? You look back at your plan and say, $100,000, I could do this. You tell yourself that. You tell yourself, okay, this is all I need. I just need that 3 leads a week. And you could do this. So sometimes you just need that little bit of a pick-me-up and just enough to kind of make this all work. But that's about all the time it is that we have for today. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, getting your license, doing post-licensing, continuing education, or anything real estate related, give us a call. Our phone number is 813-928-0106, 813-928-0106. You can also text us as well if you don't like calling. We're high-tech. We're tech-savvy. We'll text you back. Check out our website, tampaschool.com. Also, tampaschool.com/success. That's where you'll find this episode and all of our previous episodes. But that's all I've got for you guys this week. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you Friday for State of Real Estate.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.